immaturity of the current solutions and the incompleteness of the standards. Both from a technology standpoint and from a business process standpoint, what we have now is probably only halfway between vision and actual definition of the future products and the future processes. There are a number of different areas which are not yet defined, even in terms of the high-level business process. I mean, famously or infamously, depending on how you look at it, Interline NDC is still not yet defined as a business process. But this is just one example. There are a lot of detailed things, for example, in the relationship between offer and order management, the future product catalog, how that's going to work. There are a lot of things which are not yet clear. They are still very much at a vision or concept stage. And this makes things slow and challenging, because airlines want to start with something, but where do you start? You can't go and launch, it's very difficult to go and launch an RFP, for example, because you don't have yet very concrete and detailed requirements. Some airlines have tried different airlines have tried different approaches to mitigate this problem. One of the approaches that we've seen was trying to take the current existing set of business requirements and functions and converting them or adapting them for the transition to offer and order. But well, I at least think that's not possibly not the best approach, because if you take this approach, then you are only doing yet again, the same mistake that we have made as an industry several times over now, and most critically back in the late 50s, early 60s, when the first electronic processes and systems were designed, which was to not take advantage of the possibilities afforded by the new technologies to redesign the business process, but just trying to model the same process that we had before onto a new technology stack. And this is, I would say, the story of our lives as an industry, the story of our life as an industry. We've made this mistake over and over and over again. I think this time we really should try to be more visionary and careful than that, and not try to replicate the same process on a new technology stack. And I think that's the great opportunity afforded by this wave of transformation. The second challenge that I see, and this is much more of a technical challenge, is the transition itself. Anyone who has already given some thought to how the transition from the current legacy paradigm to the future offer and order paradigm is going to look like has realized that, at least for an airline that is not starting anew, an airline that comes with the baggage of historical processes, historical bookings, and so on, this cannot be a big bang migration, a big bang transition. You cannot say that I'm going to plan for the 25th of February 2025 to transition from the legacy PSS and all its surrounding e-commerce ecosystem to offer and order overnight. That's just not going to work. There will be a coexistence period between the legacy ecosystem and the new offer and order based ecosystem, which is going to be firstly lengthy. I think most airlines that we are working with assume such a coexistence period to be at least in the several years to up to maybe in some cases more than 10 years, depending on whom you ask. And at the same time, this coexistence is going to be technically quite complex, because you are going to have parallel systems that are going to hold, for example, reservation data. You are still going to have a legacy reservation system as part of the PSS ecosystem, which will be holding PNRs, and you are still going to have, for a while, at least, tickets and EMDs associated with those PNRs, while in parallel you are going to have a new order management system that is going to hold one order compatible orders, and these are going to have to be kept in near real-time synchronization. And by the way, this is just one example. It's the most obvious example of the types of data coexistence and synchronization that we are going to have to take care of in the future world. But there are other examples that I can give. For example, inventory synchronization. We are all aware that with the transition to offer management, we are going to look at a new type of inventory, which is no longer going to be RBD or booking class based. But this doesn't mean that you can switch off the legacy inventory instant when you launch the new one. So you are probably, most airlines are going to handle two different inventories in parallel with some kind of synchronization or translation logic between them. So we are talking about, I think, offer and order, the transition to offer and order management has the means and brings the means and the opportunity to simplify our extremely complex technical ecosystem and business processes, set of business processes as an industry. But before we get to that simplification, we are very likely going to first go through a transitionary period where the complexity is actually going to grow before it starts going down.